Okay, here we're changing the oil on a 7.3 Powerstroke. This particular one is a year 2000, but most of them from 94 till 2000, early 2003 should be very similar. The only difference is a little bit of engine cover, a little piece of plastic, but that's about it. So where we're going to start is we're going to loosen up the oil fill cap, just a little bit of air, and of course loosen up the dipstick. So next step, we're going to go below, and then we'll drain the filter, drain the oil, and then go from there. Okay, so here we're underneath the engine. This is obviously the oil pan with the oil drain. It is this one is a magnetic one. It's a 19 millimeter. Don't quote me, but I believe the stock one is also 19 millimeter. Might be a different size. And the very large oil filter is just over here. In fact, probably the largest oil filter of any of the Powerstroke engines. It's even a little bit bigger than the new 6.7s. So the first thing we're going to do is punch the oil filter. Then let it drain into our oil pan. There we go. And we'll let that drain for a few minutes. In fact, we can even let that drain along with taking out our oil drain and let it all drain at one time. And we'll let that drain for a few minutes and we'll come on back. Okay, we're back. It's down to a drip out of the oil pan, out of the oil filter, and I'm going to be replacing the oil drain valve or the oil drain plug with this easy drain valve. A lot of people use them. They seem to might be a little slower on the actual drain, but they seem to make the process itself a little better. So I'm going to oil up the little O-ring here. I know, using old oil, which is a tragedy, but it should work. Now it does say in the instructions just use a crescent wrench to tighten, don't use kind of large, no kind of socket. Nice and tight. Okay, it's tight. Don't want to make it so tight that you're going to destroy your threads. Check, make sure your valve works. Okay, looks like it does work. And I'm going to use this to make testing the oil a lot more convenient. You can get your test bottle, hold it underneath, open up your valve, get the proper amount of oil, and then be able to send it in, get it checked. Good idea if you're going to extend oil drain intervals or depending on the type of oil. So now we have our oil filter wrench. I'm going to remove our oil filter. So it's down to a drip. Probably definitely going to get more oil coming out. And of course, looks like I'm going backwards, which I am. There we go. Okay. And you're going to have some more oil come out, depending on where you punched your hole. These are at a slight angle, so just be careful. When more drains out, just let it drain out. I know you don't have to punch your oil filter, but I just find it makes it a little bit easier, makes the oil filter a little lighter when I go to spin it off. Come off eventually, then you just want to take it off, set it somewhere to the side. You can clean up the mating surface. For now, just drop that right into my drain oil. Leave it right there for a minute. So we'll let that drain, then we'll go up, we'll pre-fill our new oil filter, and then we'll come back and spin it back on. Okay, so now we got our oil filter and some oil, and I know not everybody does it, but I like to pre-fill my oil filter, especially when it's straight up and down, as much as I can. Some people think it's not necessary. Other people are going to complain, well, you're putting dirty oil. Because yes, the filtering process does come from the outside, goes into the center of your filter, and then back up into your engine. But if by filling it with fresh clean oil straight from your bottle, you just put some contaminants that might blow up your engine, maybe the manufacturer should have thought about the oil a lot better, or the oil filter itself. So, I've seen many vehicles doing it this way, and never had a problem. So, it's going to hold probably almost 2 quarts of oil, just about. Let that soak in for a couple minutes. Well, basically, you would fill that, and then you can use some of the fresh clean oil, put it on your gasket, and then you would go underneath the vehicle and spin it on. So next time you see us, we'll have the oil filter underneath the truck, hopefully as full as we're comfortable, and then spin it on. And we get it hand tight, don't need wrenches, don't need any other parts, just get it as hand tight as possible. Always seems to work for me, and I've never had an oil filter come loose on me. Yep. Okay, so we have our oil filter full of oil. We have our base cleaned off. Now we're going to put some oil onto the gasket. This is something every oil filter manufacturer says to do. Helps keep it from sticking. Makes it easier to go on. Okay. Just be careful, it is going to weigh quite a bit with all the extra oil in it. Okay, as tight as I can get it on there by hand. Make sure your oil drain valve, or if you're just using the standard plug with a crush washer, make sure that's seated properly. If that's seated properly, then we'll clean up down here, go up top, and we will start filling the engine full of oil. Okay, so here we are with our chosen oil. I do go with a 1540. I am using synthetic. You don't have to necessarily use a synthetic. These engines call for 1540 from the factory. That was years ago. A lot of people are going with like a Shell Rotella T6 540. A lot of other synthetics, they only come with a 540. Depends on the mechanic you ask. I don't think it's a big deal, but I just choose to use a similar weight that came with it. And then here's our very large oil funnel. Take it slow. Try to get all our oil in there nice and clean. Sitting there a minute. Especially some of these oils, try to get as much as possible because they are expensive. Try to get as many miles as I can out of these things. This bottle of size also makes a very good container. Put your used oil back in, transport it, dump it out. You got a nice carry handle. Okay, now for a gallon. What's left of our gallon after filling up our filter. And that funnel has a nice convenient, you can put the carry handle. I think the Shell Rotella bottles actually work really well here, and the Chevron Della 400 ones work very well with these oil funnels also. Standard drip. Now our last quart makes our total of 15. Drip. So now we got 15 quarts. We'll start it, run it, and then wait a couple minutes after we run it and double check we have the proper amount in there. Okay, so we got our last quart in there. Makes a total of 15 between the filter and the pan. So we'll run it for a minute and then we'll let it sit, let the oil settle, and then double check it again, make sure we got the correct level. It's good practice. You get close until you figure out how much exactly your engine holds. Just get close. I think the first time I put 14 quarts in, started, ran it, and then of course topped it off with the last quart or so. So we'll come back, we'll have this all buttoned up, and we'll start it, run it, and then we'll double check the level. Okay, so we got the oil filled up. We're in the truck, get ready to start it. And watch your oil pressure. There, it pops right up. So I haven't noticed that much of a difference between when you pre-fill the oil filter and don't. Maybe it's a couple seconds faster. Oil pressure jumps up. Let it run for a minute. And then you can check for leaks, check underneath your vehicle. I know one place this one does leak currently, the turbo pedestal, which is very common. Eventually, yes, I'm going to replace it with a blank pedestal with the without the exhaust back pressure valve and the free-flowing outlet from the back of the turbo. But that's definitely a project for another time. Truck runs, does well, and doesn't really seem to leak a whole lot of oil. So, and then also, I know it's probably semi-controversial. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, you didn't drain your H-pop reservoir." No, I did not. I did that when I first bought the truck because my theory was changing brands. So I want to try to get out as much of the old oil as possible. Wasn't sure. I know they can mix, but I think it lessens your mileage, or however you want to phrase it, especially if you're using a good synthetic. And so I chose to do that. Let me know if you want me to show you draining of the H-pop. I know some people do, not everybody does. And then other people who are original injectors, they got 500,000 miles and they've done nothing more than just use good quality oil, drain the pan and the filter, top them off, keep running the truck for however many thousands of miles you're supposed to. So let me know and double check the level, and we'll be outside the truck. Okay, so here we are back. We'll let the oil drain back down for just a couple minutes. So now we're going to clean off the dipstick and double check our oil level. So it's within operating range. Might be able to use maybe another half a quart, roughly. I mean, it's maybe 5/8 or so up the center of the operating range. So that's what I mean. You have to decide for yourself. We use exactly 15 quarts, and of course it's a slight bit low. You can top it off, but let each person decide that for themselves. You have to learn your own oil. So have fun, be safe, good luck.